While many on the internet are busy arguing over whether Valve is actually ready to launch new hardware, the docs in the United States just gave us the answer. Last week, Shipping Manifest confirmed that Valve received their first massive quantity of wireless PC controllers. It's a retail-ready volume of physical inventory for Valve. Today, we are breaking down the 0 hour for the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Controller. We're going to look at the massive 8GB VRAM Breakthrough by Valve, the 5.3% Linux Milestone, and how the launch window is getting closer. Let's look at the raw data that was just revealed. The shipment, tracked by data miners like Brad Lynch, listed a total weight of 12,970 kilograms, nearly 13 tons, spread across 40 different packages. To understand the scale of this launch, we need to do some very simple raw math. We know from the technical specs that the new Steam controller weighs exactly 292 grams. If you include the 16-gram puck wireless charging dock, the hardware total is 308 grams. If we take the total shipment weight of 12,970,000 grams and divide it by that 308 gram hardware weight, we are looking at roughly 42,000 individual units. This doesn't include the math for the retail box, the cables, and anything else included in the packaging, so it could realistically be less, like 35,000 or even 30,000. These 40 packages listed on the manifest aren't just boxes you'd see at your front door. They are massive industrial shipping crates. If you take the roughly 40,000 controllers and divide by the amount of packages, it very well could be 1,000 controllers per package. While everyone is looking at the 13-ton shipment manifest, the real 0 hour proof is buried in the fine print of the SteamOS 3.8 developer notes. Valve quietly announced that they have reduced handheld and wireless controller input latency from the industry standard 5.8 milliseconds down to a staggering 100 to 500 microseconds. To put that into perspective, that is around a 50x increase in speed. Most gamers think a 5 millisecond delay is instant, but Valve is pushing into territory of professional grade wired only hardware. Valve is clearly preparing to launch a responsive gaming ecosystem. If you're playing a frame perfect game like CS2 or just Elden Ring on your couch, this 100 microsecond breakthrough is the reason you won't feel like you're fighting with your own hardware. But Valve isn't just fixing input, they are fixing how the CPU itself thinks. Valve introduced initial support for the LAVD CPU scheduler. Simply explained, a scheduler decides which app gets to use the CPU at any given second. On a regular PC, background tasks can steal CPU cycles from your games, causing frame time spikes. LAVD is a specialized scheduler designed specifically for gaming workloads. It ensures that the game engine is never interrupted by system tasks. At the same time, Valve has officially moved desktop mode to Wayland by default. Wayland is a modern display protocol that eliminates screen tearing and significantly improves performance for tons of different displays. Wayland also brings proper support for variable refresh rates on high-end monitors, which has been a major pain point for Linux users for years. By pushing LAVD and Wayland, Valve is making sure the operating system can handle the extreme demands of their upcoming hardware. Despite the noise about RAM and storage shortages earlier this year, Valve has been quietly doubling down on its original 2026 window. After some confusing wording in a Steamworks blog back in March, Valve PR representative Casey clarified the situation on March 7th, stating nothing has actually changed on our end. We are still aiming for 2026. If Valve is holding on to that first half goal, we are looking at a potential May or June release. As we just discussed, they are currently building stock in the US specifically so they can execute a drop that actually puts the new hardware in our hands quickly. In April, Valve developer Natalie Volk introduced a set of kernel patches focused on DME MCG Booster and Plasma Foreground Booster. To understand why this is so important for the Steam machine, you have to understand how Linux used to handle video RAM. On a standard PC, the operating system doesn't always know which program is the most important. If you're playing a heavy title and you have a browser or a chat app open in the background, Linux might accidentally take some memory to make room for a background process. This causes VRAM thrashing, that annoying stutter you get even when your frame rate looks high. The new DMEMCG booster effectively gives the game dibs on every megabyte of VRAM. This logic effectively treats the Steam machine's 8GB of VRAM as a dedicated vault that background bloatware simply cannot touch. It tells the kernel the game in the foreground has absolute priority. If memory gets tight, the background apps are forced to spill over into the system RAM, leaving the GPU memory purely for the game. This makes an 8GB VRAM config, which is the specs for the Steam machine, perform like it has much more overhead. So Valve is perfecting the software so that their budget console feels like a premium stutter-free experience. But Valve's main pitch for the Steam machine and even the Steam frame isn't just about the future, it's actually about the fact that your decades-old library finally just works in a living room environment. The April 10th Proton Experimental update was a massive milestone for game preservation. It officially promoted the original Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 along with Dino Crisis to playable status. For years, these classic Capcom titles were broken on Linux. The FMV cutscenes wouldn't play or the registry would crash on launch. Valve has now baked those Media Foundation fixes directly into the compatibility layer. This is the Steam polish. They want you to be able to sit on your couch with the new Steam controller and launch a game from 1996 or a game from this year, and either one, both seamlessly work. But if you want to know why the 2026 Steam machine will succeed where the 2015 version failed, just look no further than the Steam hardware survey, where in the most recent version, Linux has officially hit 5.33% market share, nearly double its 3% milestone just a few months ago. In 2015, Linux was at less than 1%. Developers didn't care because there was no money in it. Today, 5.33% represents millions of active paying customers, more than double the market share of macOS on Steam. Valve has reached the critical mass stage. Developers are now optimizing for Proton, not because Valve asked them to, but because 5% of their revenue is now tied to it. The chicken and egg problem, where you need users to get games, and games to get users, is dead. The egg hatched into a Steam Deck, and now the Steam machine is just the natural evolution into the living room, so the number of Linux users on Steam will only grow, especially as more and more people want to move away from Windows. The latest patch notes for SteamOS 3.8 are the clearest proof that the hardware is near ready. Valve explicitly included a line that says, initial support for upcoming Steam machine hardware, but if you look at the desktop mode changes, the real story emerges. They added better scale factor out of the box for TVs, support for external HDR and VRR displays, per display scale factors. These are features built specifically for the Steam machine, so we now have the shipments in the distribution centers. We have the explicit Steam machine support in the operating system. We have the 8GB VRAM optimizations and the TV scaling fixes all live. And we can't forget, we have Valve confirming that they haven't changed their target windows. If you have been waiting for this new hardware, that seems to be coming to an end. The real question that's left to be answered is what are the price points we're gonna see for all this new hardware.